Hello for Holy Family Sunday, and I'm just using the book of Sirach, and Sirach is chapter 3, verses 2 to 6, and verses 12 to 14. And sorry I'm late this weekend, but I had a funeral yesterday of one of the parishioners of past prisoners of past people of Pax Christi. And I really was tied up with that all day, never got around to doing my thing. But anyway, quickly, I'll do it today now. But anyway, it has to do with Holy Family Sunday. And Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the perfect family. Well, true, probably, but I don't know any perfect family. And I really liked this family because the mother was wonderful and she died 3 years ago and I buried her. And the father was wonderful and he died just a week ago. And that was his funeral. And he had two daughters. They were good and they got along with their parents and so forth. And it was a wonderful family. And Sirach is saying that we should really get along and love our family, love one another. And I'm just going to read you that quick because it's short and that's what I'm going to talk about. One, reading from the book of Sirach. God sets a father in honor over his children. A mother's authority he confirms over her sons. Whoever honors his mother atones for sins and preserves himself from them. When he prays, he's heard. He stores up riches and reveres his mother. Whoever honors his father is gladdened by children. And when he prays, he's heard. Whoever reveres his father will live a long life. And he who obeys his father brings comfort to his mother. My son, take care of your father when he's old, and grieve over him not as long as he lives. Even if his mind fail, be considerate of him. Revile him not all the days of his life. Kindness to a father will not be forgotten, firmly planted against the debt of your sins, a house raised in justice to you. Well, it deals with mothers and fathers and sons and daughters. And Jesus is, not Jesus, but because this is the Old Testament, but Sirach is trying to give this advice, respect your parents, and hopefully your parents respect you. Love your parents, and hopefully your parents love you. And that's the basic message of Jesus Christ. So, as far as when he talks about your father, sooner or later, your father's going to grow old and sort of lose it and sometimes lose his mind. And Sirach said, well, you better take care of him, you know, and your mother has authority over you and while you're growing up, and you better respect that. And so a mother has to love his son and daughter, and a father his son and daughter, and really respect and take care of them, especially the younger they are. And the sons and daughters, the younger they are, the more they are to respect their parents and get along with them. This family that I buried, the mom and dad, the dad yesterday, was a good family. I'm sure there were two girls, I'm sure they fought with one another periodically. I do with my brothers and sisters. But as far as I respect my parents, and I think my parents really loved me. And so Sirach is saying it's a blessing to have good parents who love you. And it's also a good thing if son or daughter respects and loves his or her parents. But you know what? It might have worked out pretty doggone well with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, because Jesus was perfect, and Mary was perfect, and Joseph was pious, great, you know. But you know what? In the United States or in the world, let's just say United States. In the United States, there are 51% divorces where husbands don't get along with wives and kids don't get along with father or mother, and they fight, and sooner or later they can't stand one another. And it winds up that sooner or later they say, I've had it, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. You know, in the United States, 51% of marriages wind up in divorce because the husband can't get away along with the wife, and the wife the husband, and the sons and daughters with the parents, and the parents with the sons and daughters. That's a bad percentage. 51%. It's so bad they leave, and one divorces the other, and then one sees maybe one parent and maybe two or whatever periodically, or this time with him and this time with her. And, you know, it's crazy. It's not good. And people have a hard time and suffer a lot of pain. Whether it's the father with the son, or the father with the daughter, or the mother with the son, or the mother with the daughter, or the daughter with the mother and father, or the son with the mother. But there's a lot of pain, and it just doesn't work. If you have a good family, happy, baby, thank God. But if 51% of the people wind up in divorces, there's a lot of unhappiness and a lot of problems with people's lives. And you can blame it on the parents, you can blame it on the kids, or you can blame it on everybody, or blame it on one another. It's easy to blame. Well, in due time, the older you grow, the more you receive how much of a blessing it was if you had a good mom and a good dad. And if you do, thank Jesus, thank the Lord. But if you didn't or don't, what do? Well, I sort of have one message. My message is sort of easy to love. Great parents are just wonderful, and they do most everything just right, and we all totally get along. Yeah. But 51% of the people in these homes and in these marriages can't get along. And who's to blame? Well, mom, dad, son, daughter, blame them all, blame pop. But the answer to the 51%, if they only would have listened to the mind of Jesus. And Jesus said, or the commandment, honor your mother and father. Or Jesus said, love even your enemies. Now, your enemies aren't just people next door or down the road. Your enemy sometimes can be your sister or your brother or your mom or your dad, or we just don't get along. Jesus said, try. That's the answer. Try to love your dad. Try to love your mother. And Jesus is speaking to the mother and the father too. Dad, love your son or your daughter. Dad, mom, love your son or your daughter. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to be able to say, I'm sorry when you get into problems. And part of the problems, or all the problems, or some of the problem is you. I'm sorry. I love you. And that applies not just to the boy or the girl, the son or the daughter. That applies to the mom or the dad. If they are to one another, yes. It's not easy to be married. Well, apparently, 51% of the people can't stand one another, so they get divorced. It's very difficult. But it's also difficult for sons and daughters to live with one another, and sons and daughters to live with mom and dad. The message of Jesus is say, I love you. The message of Jesus is say, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to do better. And that's the only way that things improve. Jesus said, love your enemies. Well, I don't know if you just maybe feel that way sometimes, but love your enemies can be mom, it can be dad, can be your sister, or it can be your brother. It's very easy. Jesus said, try it. Try it. You might even like it. You might even learn to like your dad better, or your mom better, or love your sister better, or love them all. And you might even be happier. might even be happier. It's very hard to say, I'm sorry. It's very easy to say it's your fault. I didn't do that. You are to blame. The message of Jesus is even love your enemies or love the person that you got some problems with. In fact, he says it's better that you make up with your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad or any of the combination thereof before you go to church, before you come to the altar. Make peace with the person in your family. Our country needs good parents. Our country needs good boys, good girls to love one another. It winds up better if you learn to love, learn to forgive, learn to talk it out, and learn to make some sacrifices. Jesus did it, and he wants us to do it. Have a good day. Your family will never become perfect like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, but more than half the families in the United States need to shape up more, try better, harder, and say, I'm sorry, and work it out. Have a good day.